Well, my goodness, guys. Welcome, friends, to episode number 17 of our brand new podcast. And we're all about the pulse here in the year 2024. And guys, we're talking about the heartbeat of King Jesus as we navigate through these crazy days that all of us are living in. I'm your host, and I'm going to be with you here for the next 30 minutes on all of our social media platforms. Before we go behind the veil, which is exclusive to people at odx.tv, like, why would you do that? Because we're not censored over there. And when I promise you, this guest that we're about to introduce here, he can talk about some stuff that would indeed get us censored, and he'll probably get us in bad trouble. So if you are not already a part of odx.tv, if you're a part of stage 2 or part of stage 3, you can actually watch this in its continuation and in all of its finery. Hallelujah. And if not, simply go to odx.tv and sign up for it. Guys, sitting right here to my right is Brother Benjamin Allen Brewer. How are you doing, Ben?
I am alive and well.
How are you, man? You got a little bit of gray going on.
Dude, I got a ton of gray.
That's why I keep my cords. Oh my gosh.
You good?
Yeah, I got a little bit of gray too.
Golly.
I'm about to wash that gray right out of my hair is what I'm fixing to do.
I haven't heard that song forever.
Yeah, you remember that? I'm
do.
gonna wash my gray right out of my hair. Anyway, I gotta gear up for my trip to Daystar tomorrow night. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be on Daystar. I'm gonna be there with Perry Stone tomorrow night. Tonight I'm gonna be with Brother Joseph Z. Right? And he's gonna be at Open Door Church, and that's gonna be a big hoot and nanny. Yeah, look at that, man. Yep, man. And Joseph Z. And we're actually going to be talking about AI. We're going to be talking about
artificial intelligence
versus authentic wisdom, the authentic wisdom of the goodness of God and the mind of Christ. Joining me directly across from me is Miss Connie Jenkins. How are you, ma'am?
Hey, I'm doing good.
I'm digging your jacket today and your outfit.
Thank you. It's the same company that made my wool coat.
Yeah,
I'm a repeat offender.
A repeat offender.
Yes.
Well, there you go. Well, and I noticed that, I haven't actually seen your shoes, but Ben was making fun of your shoes a while ago.
The toe shoes.
They're my toe shoes because I'm going for a run after work today.
I see.
They're my running shoes.
They're your running shoes. Well, that's okay.
They got toes on them.
But do they actually have toes in them?
Yes.
So they're like Todd White shoes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're Todd White shoes. Yeah, that's what Todd White wears. What the heck is that?
They're Vibrams. They're good. They force your feet to stay the way that they are barefooted.
Okay.
Because I got a running injury, so I got in tennis shoes, so I got these instead, so I could run down hills and not hurt myself. And I've kept them.
Yeah, I don't know anything about any of that. When I take off my shoes, I have a big giant Jurassic Park toenail that scrapes across the ground, and that's not true. That's not true.
It actually is.
I want you to look at Rebecca. Look at her. She's like, guys, also sitting directly across from me also is Miss Rebecca Tamayo Gonzalez. How are you, Ladybug?
I'm doing great. We're ready for tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be good, isn't it?
It's going to be good.
It's good. So are you going to be on the praise and worship team tonight?
Every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, man. So what's y'all's songs? What are y'all doing?
We are doing Tremble, and we're doing Worthy.
Oh.
And the first one is Come Alive, so it's talk about resurrecting bones.
Come on.
Coming alive.
Let's go, man.
So we're going for it.
Well, Joseph Z is going to come over, and he's going to be with us tonight. And we're going to sit up there and talk about artificial intelligence and versus authentic wisdom. And then tomorrow night, I'm going to be on the Daystar Television Network for 4 hours tomorrow night with Perry Stone for their Heart for the World program. And we're going to be doing that. And I'm going to be talking about the Great American Eclipse. And I'm going to be talking about the next eclipse that's going to take place tomorrow. That's a cool picture. I hadn't seen that.
So what are you most excited to share about the eclipses tomorrow?
Well, I'm just hoping I don't choke, to tell you the truth. You know, man, you do live television, man, for 4 hours. You know, this guest we're about to introduce, he knows all about it because he does it every day. Every day. And he's done it for years and years and years. But, dude, it's pretty hairy, to tell you the truth. I mean, it's you know, everybody that makes it look easy, they're just making it look easy. And you're thinking about so many different things when you're doing live TV. But my message that I'm going to be bringing, I think probably just the reality. My favorite part of the next great eclipse that's about to take place is that it tracks over 7 cities called Nineveh, and it being the sign of Jonah the prophet.
It's so powerful.
And like, that's not the sign of Jonah the prophet. We know what the sign of Jonah the prophet is. It's 3 days in the belly of the fish. No, that's our Western lens, and that comes from 2,000 years of a great revelation of the resurrection of Jesus. When Jesus told the scribes and the Pharisees of his day, I'm not giving you any additional signs. You're crazy. I mean, if you hadn't seen it already, I don't know what your deal is. But I tell you what, I will give you one additional sign, and it's that of Jonah the prophet. They knew exactly what that was, and that was that the sun went dark. And so the reason they did that is because of the great Assyrian eclipse, which is called
Bursagal.
the Bursagal. You're so smart.
I've researched a lot.
Yes, you have. And I think that was in seven. Is that in
I think 763.
763, something
think
like that, BC?
Yes.
Before
I will
King
check
Jesus. And that was the day that Jonah stepped into Nineveh and said, you cats got 40 days and it's over. And he said that on the 1st of Elul, and 40 days after the 1st of Elul is Judgment Day. It is Yom Kippur. It's the Day of Atonement. He's like, I'm not playing with you cats anymore. I'm here to give a word, and it's turn or burn. That is exactly what.
Wow.
That is exactly what this next eclipse means.
Wow.
Sherry said that she saw something today that said the eclipse in 2017 passed through Alpha, Kentucky, and the one in 2024 will
Gonna go through
pass through Omega, Illinois.
Omega, Illinois. That's exactly right. That's going to be part of my message too. And so that's right on. Alpha and the Omega is where they cross right there. Alpha is on one side, Omega is on the other side, which is crazy. Man, guys, God is speaking through this. He went through 7 cities called Salem. The first one did in 27 years. We had that 7-year period where God's like, okay, and then it ends at Fort Sumter, which is where the Civil War begins. And then the next one begins at Shelby Park, which is where the Civil War ended. And people don't even realize that.
Yeah, that was amazing. Now, so far, that's been my favorite thing to find out is what happened in Eagle Pass with General Shelby.
I didn't know that.
Man, General Shelby's Confederate general, and he said, I'm not surrendering to the United States. And he went down there and he buried the Confederate flag in Shelby Park right there. And so it's where the Confederacy ended, and that's where the second one begins. The first one ended where the Confederacy began at Fort Sumter. It speaks of Civil War. Is what it speaks of. And of course, Shelby Park is actually in national news about Civil War right now. Federal rights versus state rights. It's crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah,
So God's saying, turn or burn. He's like, this nation will not live without the body of Jesus. And if the body of Jesus doesn't step up and quit being afraid and being politically correct, you're done. That's what he's saying. So I'm going to preach that tomorrow night and see how that goes.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be good.
Well, my goodness. What are we supposed to tell everybody, Miss Connie?
I think you got through it. Yeah,
You said it.
Well, we need
Joseph's-
somebody to make sure that if you're on Facebook or any of the other
There you
socials,
go.
make
You
sure
got
to
that
follow.
too. We got to do that too.
If you're on
I did get on
YouTube,
my
make
notes.
sure you subscribe. And you can also hit the little bell icon too. We will be going behind the veil, or as Pastor Troy likes to say, behind the veil.
Behind the veil. That's how it's spelled. It's
not
weird.
Spelled veil.
Anyway. V-E-I-L. I
We will be
cannot
doing
the
that
word
after the
veil.
30-minute mark. If you want to continue on with us, you can go to odx.tv, and this is exclusive for stage 2 and stage 3 viewers. So you can go
It's
behind there.
not called tier 2. Some girl named that. It's called stage 2 and
That's what I
stage
said.
3.
I corrected myself.
Stage.
Anyway, there's a button on there that says
Stage.
Prophetic Pulse, and you can click on that, and it'll take you right to the stream itself.
I see Sherry Morgan is in here. Anita is here. Hey, Anita, how are you? Guys, everybody tell me where it is that you're from. And that's something we should have told y'all at the very beginning, and I always forget about that. Nick Schrock is in here. I see him also, too, on the ODX side of things. My good friend Nick, who was actually out at Redemption Ranch last week.
He was.
Yep, Nick's always down here, and that's really cool. Mona is here. Crazy Mona. Hello, Crazy
Dude,
Mona.
is
How are
always
you?
Screaming in the chat room.
I can see Conception Jenkins is here.
Woot woot.
Texas Pecan stays in my coffee maker at home.
Yeah, we're talking about the Spark and Brewer blend coffees that we have.
Do we have a Texas Pecan?
Yes, because that's the only one I buy.
We don't have no Texas pecan
We
coffee.
do.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Yes, you do.
You're the one who picked it out.
Right. I used to put it in your office.
I totally forgot about that.
It's deliciousness.
I see Cove, California is in the house. Jennifer White, how in the world are you? Call you blessed in Jesus' name. Robin Day is here. Jeff the man from northern Minnesota is here. Sherman, Texas. Rachel is here. Wow, man, you guys are awesome, man. Seattle is present. Dennis the Mzungu is in here. So Dennis is actually married to a Ugandan lady, and they live in Seattle. They're both Americans now, but he always signs his name Dennis Mzungu. So you and I are going to be Benjamin and I are leaving. There you go. I got it out. And we're actually going to be going to big time Uganda. We're going to be in Arab nation. I'm not allowed to
There
say
you
because
go.
of my security teams. They're like, do not tell people where you're at. I'm like, come on, man.
You're starting to learn. I'm so proud.
Yeah,
I'm going to
especially in
be-
places where you can't take your pistol.
That's
Oh,
right.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and you can't. So anyway, I'm going to be over there. We're going to be in a Arab nation on Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday I'll be with my Ugandan family, and I'm also taking Ben's son, which is my grandbuddy, and so he's going to be with me. And dadgummit, man, Rooster is going to go to Africa with me. That's a big deal. That's a big dream come true for me. And so we're going to be there, and then I'll be there for 9 days. We're going to rescue kids. We're going to feed kids. We're doing monster outreaches, and it's going to be so much fun. And then I'm going to go to South Africa. So all my peeps, and I know that there's a couple of people in here from South Africa. I'm going to be in Johannesburg, and I'm also going to be
You're not supposed to be telling people that.
No, I can tell people that. I'm doing church services there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing church services. I mean, you got to tell people what church you're at. Right on.
No, it's supposed to be a secret.
I don't think it is supposed to be a secret. Okay. Well, guys, I'm going to jump right off into all this. And don't forget, here in about 20 minutes, we're going to be going behind the veil. If you haven't signed up yet for ODX Stage 2 and Stage 3, please do so. And if you need help with that, call us at 877-413-0888. And our teams are standing by to do that. Okay. Well, guys, a few years ago, I had a chance to, for my very first time, to go do the Jim Bakker show. And I was like, oh my gosh. Ben, didn't you go with me on that trip?
I did.
And so we went out to Branson, Missouri, and it's like, I can't believe I'm doing the Jim Bakker show. Like, I cannot believe I'm actually going to meet this guy and meet his team. I've seen his show 1,000 times. And if you've seen his show, you're going to see the guy that I'm about to introduce to you, because Mondo De La Vega is the executive vice president of television production, and he's the co-host of the Jim Bakker Show. And he's a spiritual son to Papa Jim. And Papa Jim's an elderly dude now. I mean, he's old. Right? I mean, I'm 57, and he's a lot older than me. I consider myself old, and the brother is old, and he's still knocking it out. The reason why he's knocking it out every day is because he's got Mondo with him. And Mondo, at a very early age, was a gangster. And I'm talking about from the hood. All right, you ready for this? From the same hood that your mama grew up in.
I know it.
So he was in East LA, and they were in El Monte, and they're in Whittier, and they're in that part of the world. And that's also where my good friend Brian Bolt lives at. And he pastors his church, and he's going to be at our church preaching for me from my pulpit this coming Sunday. And God Almighty did an amazing work with him. And I'll get him to share some of his testimony here with you. But since that time, the brother got saved, he got healed, he got set free, and now he's been working on saving and setting free people all over the world. He's traveled with me to Mexico. He's been with me across the border. He's been to my rescue homes. Did you know that, Miss Rebecca? He has. He went across the border over there with me and visited all my kids, and we walked around out there in the hood, and I'm talking about where it's dangerous. And this guy's fearless. He's a super good friend of mine. Guys, this is Brother Mondo De La Vega. Hello, my friend.
Reverend, how you doing, sir?
Right, Bishop. I'm doing great.
I'm thinking, who are you talking about? Who's
talking
that
about
guy
you,
you're
man.
introducing?
It's you, dude. And you know it, man. I love you, brother. How are you, sir?
I am good. I am thankful for you because you called me a friend. And for me, Pastor Troy, that's an honor. I don't take it lightly. I appreciate you. Thank you for always checking on me, man. That's crazy. In ministry, people don't check on each other, and we should do a lot more. And you're a real dude, man. You should belong in East LA with the rest of us.
I don't know that they would. They would definitely kick me out. You know, we were talking about this before the show. If I just got one of those big giant motorcycles with ape hangers on it, you know, and I just twist up my mustache in a really cool way, I could fit in around there. You know, I could do that. So
All you have to do is show up with your bike and just say, "Órale."
come on, I'll do it. Do it, man.
Órale, vato.
So hey, man, you do know I have a Harley, right?
No, you do?
Yeah, I've got a big old beautiful Harley.
I'm not surprised. You got your guns, you got your bike. What
I
else
do.
do you got?
Man, I got a little bit of everything. And it's really cool, man, to take my Harley and ride it all the way out to Redemption Ranch out in West Texas. And I put Leanna on the back, and I'm telling you, man, it'll fly.
I can just, you guys need to film him doing that. I just want to watch Pastor Troy
I film it.
and his mustache and everything.
I film it all the time. I just go live on Facebook doing 90 miles an hour across all those ranch roads, man. And I actually do. And I'm just like, hey, you can't hear me. So it's going,
He's just kidding, Highway Patrol. He's just kidding.
We wish.
it's all CG, blue screen, green screen. That's what it is we do. Well, brother, it's so great to have you on here, man. I love you so much. And gosh, I know your work schedule and how many shows that you guys do. You know, a lot of people has no idea the things that you guys do. And I do. I've got a good idea of what y'all do. I've actually been in the room that you're in right now. And I filmed with you on that ugly orange couch that you're always filming on. And so you even have it on your book. You have it on your book. You got the ugly orange couch on there, which is crazy cool. I mean, it's a cool couch. And I've done shows with you, but a lot of people don't have any idea of how many babies you guys have birthed, literal babies, that you guys have helped so many pregnant girls, and that you do that, and how many old folks that you guys take care of, and the way that y'all love people and take care. I'm just going to be very honest with you, brother. I had no idea until I went up there, and I had no idea that these people did all that. Wow. I was very impressed.
You're right. And I think a lot of it is, it's not by default that we try to keep it under wraps. It's just that sometimes you don't have to put everything out in the public. Mm-hmm. You know, we've learned a long time ago that a lot of the mistakes that a lot of young ministries and young preachers do is they put themselves out there too much, and then the world's judging them for the wrong reasons. Sometimes you have to do things in private and not to get people to, get behind you. Sometimes it's a personal mandate that God gives you, and say, God, you know what? We're going to feed the poor in our own neighborhood. We're going to help the people in our own city. Before we want to reach the world, you have to start from home.
You sure do.
And this is why I love about you, Pastor Troy, because you're feeding thousands and thousands of people. And, people don't think about that. They think about what you're doing in the Amazon, what you're doing in Mexico, what you're doing in Central America, but they don't realize that you're impacting the world in your own world, in Texas, Burleson, Texas.
Come on.
And that's what we do here. We have the church. We take care of the older generation. And I want to tell you, if you're an older generation, you're not done. You're as important as the young person next to you. You're valued because of the experience you have, and we need you to stay with us. And then we reach, of course, the young ladies that have nowhere to go, and they're calling us from all over the world, wanting to be a part of this home, and we've been able to do that. We started a media school for young kids that want to learn media. We started a restaurant here. We have a general store. I mean, everything we're using is for ministry, and we continue to go forward. But, we don't put our business out there because it's important to us. But everything that Jim Bakker does gets judged all the time. And sometimes you have to preserve a lot of what you do in ministry in order for people to focus on what God is doing, not on the individual.
Well, I want to tell you this, man. I tell everybody what y'all do. The secret's out with me, man. The secret's out with me, man. I tell everybody and say, man, yeah, you guys have no idea all the work that those dudes do. And then also, your ministry has supported our ministry. Mm-hmm. There was a time that Brother Jim actually gave me a $10,000 check while I was there. That's a big deal. That's a big deal, man. And then you've been with me across the border. And I mean, you've traveled to my rescue centers.
I wanted to be there on a personal level. This was not a ministry trip. This was not that the ministry prayed for. No, I told my wife, and what's so funny is the week after that, we were supposed to fly. We did fly to Italy, Rome, and on vacation and whatnot. But the week before, I just felt led to go with you on my own dime. I wasn't expecting anything. I just wanted to go see what you do, because I wanted to bring a report back to figure out how we can help you, not just tell you, oh, you're doing a great job, Troy. No, we want to put our money where our mouth is. And we want to do a lot more, Pastor Troy. We want to be able to do millions instead of just thousands, because the work that you're doing, you're the real deal, Troy. I've never met anybody as real as you do in life, in ministry, as a person. Ministry and church can go away. And I believe you and Ms. Leanne will continue to do what you're doing right now because you love people. And that's what captivated my heart is why do you love Mexicanos? Why do you love Latinos? Why do you, a gringo, a white boy that decides to risk his life to enter into the war zones of these nations and walks in with the favor of God? That's a man that I'm willing to stand with and willing to live and die for. I love you, man. I truly do. And our ministry loves you. Pastor Jim and Lori love you. The PTL Network viewers love you. And we're going to do more. My goal, our goal as a ministry, is to one day write you $1 million check, Pastor Troy, so we can save more kids.
Amen.
Thank you, man. I don't know what to say to that, except for I don't know, man. I honestly, I never thought it was weird. I never thought it was anything exceptional. I still don't. It's just what we do. It's just what the Lord allowed us to do. It has always made sense to me, even though I'm from Joshua, Texas, and it has always made sense to me to have kids of every race. I mean, why would you not? I don't know. It's just something that God did, and it wasn't. It wasn't natural. I learned later on it was not natural.
Yeah.
And I thought it was natural, but it was a very supernatural work, that God did. And
I think about you. I think about how I grew up in the gangs and the OGs, the shot callers, the leaders. One of them took a liking to me because he saw me not as the rest of them for some reason, but he said these words that I think about you the moment I met you. People in the gangs that got in trouble and landed in prison and doing life right now, people that ended up getting addicted to crack cocaine and heroin and fentanyl and all that stuff, is because they got emotional in the streets. Yet he told me, I need you to be intentional. Intentional changes drastically the decisions that you make. Because when you're emotional, you're not going to last long. But when you become intentional, you have a long life ahead of you, whatever you decide to do. And here I'm watching you. You don't do things by emotions. You do things because you're intentional with the God-given call that he gave you. But more than that, your intention for God's will is to walk in and doing what you're doing without thinking about, oh, is this normal? Is this not normal? It's, people nowadays, I was talking to Frank Shelton, another minister this morning, and he was talking about ministry for a lot of guys have become work. Not a passion to live and die for, not ministry that you're willing to just serve without, expecting to receive anything in return. You just want to serve God and that's you, man. That's you, your ministry, your wife, your children, the people that support you. And I think that's the reason why people support you is because you're so intentional in the God-given call and the gifts that he's given you that no wonder you're able to impact the world and allow all the nations to be touched by the will of God when you said yes.
I think that, okay, so I live in such grace and you do too. I'm a grace fanatic, but I also believe in accountability. I'm hardcore accountability guy. And it's like, come on, man. I really believe that we're going to be held accountable of, okay, I saved you. I helped you. I blessed you. What did you do? And I've always thought that. I've always thought, man, I'm going to be held accountable. Someday I'm going to have to stand before King Jesus. And if I stand up and say, well, I was saved, Jesus said, yeah, I did that. And I was set free. Yeah, I did that. What did you do? And I'm like, okay, well, I did everything I could do. And I want to be able to say that. I want to be able to say, I did everything I could do. And the Lord just kept putting things in front of me. He still keeps putting things in front of me. And I just keep saying yes. And God keeps making a way for the yes to happen. It's just crazy. Guys, we have Mondo De La Vega here with us. And what a great privilege to have him with us today. Mm-hmm. It's a really big deal.
It really is.
I mean, so you guys have seen him on TV, and you guys have probably heard him preach at Open Door Church. And he's the executive vice president of the television production and the co-host of the Jim Baker Show. And guys, I mean, he helps run a whole television network. So like my show is on the PTL network, right? And this guy is like a big deal. And then he comes and hangs out with us and just goes across the border with us and walks around with us. And you guys have any questions or any comments y'all want to ask him?
Oh, actually, I want to ask him about his book. What's your new book about? It's called My Crazy Life, but what all does that entail?
That entails me cooking in the kitchen. No, I'm kidding.
Come on, let's bust it out.
I'd expect nothing less.
No, this book is my crazy life. This is my testimony, my life story, my autobiography of what God did for me and the favor that God gave me from the moment that I was born all the way to where I am today. This book entails the dramatic story of life in the gangs in Los Angeles, California, with a little twist to it. A twist of faith, a twist of grace, a twist of the prophetic, a twist of meeting some of the most influential people in the world. Yet here I am, a broken little boy, a boy that was rejected by his father, a boy that was rejected by society, a boy that was no good and valuable enough to even be thought about. And I entitled my book, I titled the book My Crazy Life, because my crazy life is all about the tres puntos, the three dots, that in the Latino gang culture and even the African American culture, it becomes a pivotal moment in life because it's what you live and die for. The three dots represents the three destinations that gang culture will lead you to. One will be in your deathbed in the hospital. Number two, doing life in prison. And the ultimate will be death. Some of the gang members will experience 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3, but the ultimate price will be 3 out of 3. And the title is Mi Vida Loca, My Crazy Life. And then I talk about the tattoos in my face. Back in the 80s and 90s, you had to earn those tattoos. You had to put in the work. But yet, you know, when you look back in life, you realize that God's mercy was always on me, yet I didn't realize it. I didn't understand what was happening because in the late 80s and early 90s, there was an explosion of refugees coming across the border from Central America due to the wars that began to happen, right? The Civil War began to take place, and over 1 million refugees fled to America. My mother, my sister, and myself were part of that million group. The difference was my mother was born in Los Angeles, California, and she had 2 little problems with her. My sister and I were not born in Los Angeles, California. And everyone around her was pressuring her to come to the United States illegally with her kids. Yet my mother said, I don't want that life for my kids. I want my kids to always be proud and lift their chin up and be proud on who they are. Yet I understand why a lot of my people, a lot of Latinos, and come to America fleeing illegally because the bureaucracy holds the paperwork and it takes a lot of money to do that. Yet my mother decided to do it the right way because she received a prophetic word in the middle of her crisis. This book entails the development of how I came to Jesus Christ with 3 of the most powerful phrases that my sister gave me. I'll give you one of them. What if you have a different destiny? That changed my life because all the way up to that moment, the gang reminded me every single day not to make plans past 18 years old because I wasn't going to be alive, or I was going to spend the rest of my life in prison, or I'll be in a coma in the hospital fighting for my life. So I couldn't see past 18 years old, let alone past to see the next day. Then on the other hand, I had society telling me, lock him up and throw the key away. No one had plans for me. I'm honored to be sitting at the table with the 4 of you because back in the day, I didn't feel good enough to be sitting at the table with people like you. I was comfortable sitting with people like the cartel members, the hustlers, the pimps, the trigger men, the gangsters, the players, and I felt valued enough to do that, but it was a false value that I didn't understand. But I detail in the book that my decision to follow Christ was not a decision that most people do and make it a ritual to go on Sunday morning and pick up their Bible and maybe pray or worship God. My transformation was literally life or death. And I don't want to give too much of the book away to you, but I'm just going to tell you what happened. The night before, I had given my life to Christ, and that was an intense moment. Yet when I showed up the next day to give an account to my homeboys to walk in and let them know that I'm walking away, because in life, you have to do things the right way. In life, you have to close a chapter in order to start a new chapter because God is a God of order. Most people they don't finish what they start, even if it's wrong. In life, you have to learn how to finish, then start, because God is a God of order, right, Pastor Troy?
That's so right.
And then I realized that as soon as I walked in to let them know what happened to me the night before, I was welcomed with a shotgun in my back, a pistol in my forehead, and another pistol in my chest. And they asked me a question, where were you last night? And I was nervous because I'd never been afraid of dying. I never been afraid of going to prison. I never been afraid to getting in a fight. I got stabbed twice. They didn't even realize it during the fight because the adrenaline was so fast. And it's not because I was tough, and it's not because I'm this big bad man. No, it's because I was afraid that anybody would find the pain in me. The little boy that was scared, the boy that was rejected, the boy that was living in survival mode, the boy that was screaming a silent scream and no one can hear him. Yet I was afraid of hope. I was afraid of love. I was afraid of being loved. I was afraid of being accepted for who I was. And that changed my life to stand against my homeboys, the guys that I was willing to live and die for, but also guys that did not hesitate to pull the trigger. That was the pivot moment for me to understand there's no way I can look back now. I fell in love with Jesus, that I never had a miracle in my life where I saw dead people come to life. I want to see it, and I'm believing for it. I've never seen a miracle where people got healed with cancer. I have faith, and I can't wait to see it in front of my face. But the greatest miracle I've ever witnessed was a man's heart change for the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Wow.
The greatest miracle I've ever witnessed, Pastor Joy. That's what this is a book that will teach you how to find God's miracle in the middle of your crisis.
Well, that's good. Well, listen, guys, I want to encourage you guys to get his book. I think that we have, did you get my text a while ago? I don't know if
I sure did. I thought you were joking.
No, I'm not. Hey, listen, can I get 10 of your books that you autograph? And I'm going to ask the first 10 people that call 877-413-0888 to get, if you will sign that for me. Guys, if you'll call 877-413-0888 and request this book, the first 10, you know what, you can get from us, and it'll be autographed, and it'll be a really big deal. You'll know that this brother actually gave this to me, and because you guys support our ministry and because you love us, guys, go there. Just call that number and do that. I'm going to get 10 of those books, and then everybody else needs to go and find your book. How do they find it?
I think the easiest way is you can go to Amazon.com, or better yet, if you really want to help the ministry, you can go to mycharismashop.com. And that helps the ministry tremendously because we want to continue to preach the gospel around the world. None of this money goes to me, Pastor Troy. This goes back to the ministry. This goes back to reaching more people, to expand the PTL network. So when you're buying this book, you're buying a book for you, but you're supporting the ministry. So the best way to do that is mycharismashop.com, and just type in My Crazy Life, and you'll see this orange couch, and I'm going to be there. And I got to tell you, Pastor Troy, this is the first book of its kind that Charisma has ever put out. They have published over 2,000 books. This is the first gangster story they've ever published, and I believe it says a lot about Charisma House. So thank you for the support.
Oh, dude, it's blowing up. I saw it everywhere. I was just at the NRB. I mean, everybody and their dog was after your book. So, guys, go to My Charisma. What is it? My Charisma Shop?
My Charisma Shop.
Yeah, mycharismashop.com. And guys,
there
do
it
that.
is.
Friends, look, I have to go behind the veil, which means I got to shut down all the social media stuff. And we're just going to go exclusively now to odx.tv. And we're going to go over there. And then Rebecca's going to ask you a question. Connie's going to ask you a question. And we're going to continue this conversation. We're going to talk about things that would otherwise it might get us censored. And you know what? Come over. For all my ODX peeps, you're already there right now because you're part of stage 2 or you're part of stage 3. Just remain right there and just don't go anywhere, because while we shut everything else down, guys, we're not going to be shutting you down. And then I would also like to remind everybody, be sure and join us tonight at Open Door Church. My good friend Joseph Z is here. Man, you know him, don't you, Mondo?
I love that guy. I love watching you and him together.
So we're about to start doing a bunch of media together. We're actually thinking about doing a TV show together. And so we're going to be talking about that tonight. And then tomorrow, I'm going to be on the Daystar Television Network. And I'm going to be doing their Heart for the World program. And I'm going to be on with Perry Stone for 4 hours tomorrow night. And that's going to be tomorrow night on the Daystar Television Network. All right. So what else do we need to tell everybody? Is anybody thinking of anything I forgot?
Nope.
Hey, can I share something real quick? Can I have people pray for me for Friday? I'm going to be on the 700 Club live, and I just want your prayers.
Oh, listen, you got it. You got it, man. 700 Club Live. That's a big deal, man. Okay, guys. Thank y'all so much for joining us. If you're on ODX.TV, stay there for Behind the Veil. Bye-bye, everybody.